Review of my Alienware M17 R4 gaming laptop, i7-10870H plus RTX 3080 16GB. In May 2021, prices for top-end video cards went far beyond 200,000 rubles. The only option to get a relatively inexpensive gaming computer was to buy a gaming laptop with an RTX 3080 mobile video card. Perhaps this article will help someone to pay attention to the fact that gaming laptops can be bought not only in Russia, and sometimes it is more profitable to buy them abroad. This laptop was purchased on the official American Dell website with a good discount at the price of $2,547.99 and with the configuration as in the screenshot. The purchase was paid for on April 30th, and received on June 3rd, that is, the wait was only 34 days. Americans on their website do not sell their goods directly to Russia. I had to use the services of a shopping service in the United States with many years of experience in the market of such services. The big advantage of buying on the Dell website is that you can choose the optimal configuration for you, order it and get guaranteed. In the case of other manufacturers, such as Asus, Acer, MSI, Lenovo, you cannot configure and order a laptop on their website. You will have to hope that the configuration you need will be in your store and someone else will not have time to buy it. The laptop itself cost $2,547.99. A bunch of payments, namely, the commission for the redemption, delivery from the United States to the point of issue in a small city in the middle zone of Russia, customs duty. The commission of the payment system totaled $677.37. Total $3,225.36, or about 237,000 rubles. Even with the services of an intermediary and customs duty, it turned out to be cheaper than in a local store. The warranty for the laptop is American, and if a warranty case suddenly occurs, the goods can easily be returned to the seller through the same intermediary. At the same time, in American stores, the chance for Americans to run into low-quality goods is much lower than on Chinese trading platforms. You can't buy such a laptop in Russian stores. Resellers on Avito modestly asked for more than 300,000 rubles, that is, more than $4,000. At the time of purchase, there was nothing more powerful for games and for a comparable price in the world. A competitor in the face of the MSI GE76 with a discount cost 280,000 rubles, about $3,800, and even then, quickly disappeared from sale. At the same time, it is several percent slower than the M17 R4 in all tests. This is all because the GE76 has a graphics power of TGP 155 watts, and the M17 R4 has 165 watts. Alienware M17 R4 with 3080 also disappeared from the Dell website a few weeks after my order, and it was already impossible to order it. This was done in order not to create competition for the new X17 R1 laptop with the RTX 3080. My laptop was the cheapest option on an RTX 3080 with 16GB of video memory. The laptop could have been retrofitted with different functions, and it would have come out much more expensive, but this would not have affected the games in any way, since the video card remains unchanged. For the white color, which has the name Lunar Light, they asked to pay an additional $30. I did not see the point in this and settled on the gray version with the name Dark Side of the Moon. White color should not be taken because it is branded. Scratches, dust and dirt will be immediately visible on the white case. White color is loved by reviewers, because it looks beautiful in commercials and on staged photos. There is no practical use of white in everyday life. Laptops M17 R4 and M15 R4 with the same hardware cost the same at the time of my purchase, but there was no point in taking the M15 R4. Firstly, there is a smaller screen diagonal. Secondly, the M15 has shorter heat pipes and smaller diameter fans. According to the tests of foreign bloggers, the M17 is 10-20 degrees colder. Thirdly, there are no video cards with 16 GB of video memory on the M15 R4, So much video memory is available only on the M17. Fourth, the M15 R4 TGP of the 3080 video card is set at 140 watts versus 165 watts for the M17 R4, which dramatically reduces performance in games. Given all these disadvantages, at the same price, there was no point in taking a 15-inch model. In my version, there is an Intel Core i7-10870H processor, 8-core, 16 MB cache, up to 5.0 GHz max turbo frequency. You could pay $392 extra and get an i9-10970H processor. But I thought the extra 200 MHz is not worth such an overpayment, despite the fact that there are also 8 cores. The package includes a Windows 10 Home English operating system, NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080 16GB GDDR6 video card with TGP 165 watts. It is soldered on the board. It can be changed only at the soldering station. Other laptop manufacturers, such as Clevo and Eurocom, have announced laptops with a removable version of the 3080 in MXM format. But their price exceeds €4,000, which makes the purchase of such options meaningless. Screen 17.3 inches FHD, 1920 by 1080 144 Hz 7 ms 300 nits 72% NTSC color gamut. If you pay an additional $196, you could put a 4K screen with a frequency of 60 Hz. There is no point in this on such a small diagonal. It will definitely not add FPS, but it will consume much more energy. The 32GB DDR4 2933 MHz RAM is completely soldered on the board, and it can only be changed at the soldering station. I don't see this as a problem. Today, this is a sufficient amount of memory, and when 64GB of RAM is needed in the future, it will be better to take a new laptop. There will already be a more powerful processor and video card. Many laptop manufacturers are now soldering the memory on the board. For example, in the Asus Zephyrus series of gaming laptops, and on most Ultrabooks, the memory is soldered. As drives in my basic version, 3 SSDs are installed, 2 regular 2280 formats and 1 short 2230 format, with a volume of 512 GB each in a 1TB configuration, 2 by 512 GB PM.2 SSD, RAID 0, boot, plus 512 GB PM.2 SSD, storage. This default configuration is probably offered because for the American consumer, speed is more important than reliability. I destroyed RAID 0, because it makes no sense, but the reliability increases by 2 times. I also wanted to install my SSD on 1TB, and since there were no free places, I had to split RAID 0. For a mere penny of $647, you can pump the storage to a 4TB configuration, 2 by 2TB PM.2 SSD, RAID 0, boot, plus 512 GB PM.2 SSD, storage. I don't see the point in such an overpayment. FPS will not increase from this. It was also important to order exactly 3 drives, instead of 1 or 2. Because from the factory, pre-installed drives are covered with copper radiators. Accordingly, you will be put in the laptop as many radiators as you order disks. No one will install radiators in reserve if there is no disk under it at the time of assembling the laptop. That is, if you order a laptop with 1 drive, then you will be supplied with only 1 cooling plate, and in the future, you will have to buy these plates separately for your new drives. If you can find them on sale. In my configuration, there is an Alienware M Series 4 Zone Alien FX RGB keyboard with numeric keypad, standard. And for a $176 surcharge, you can put Alienware's Cherry MX Ultra Low Profile Mechanical Laptop Keyboard with per-key Alien FX lighting. There is definitely no point in changing the keyboard. I use a separate full-fledged mechanical keyboard, so it doesn't matter which keyboard is installed in the laptop. And I advise everyone to use a separate keyboard if you work at a desk. The killer TM Wi-Fi 6AX 165800 2.11x 2x2 wireless LAN and Bluetooth 5.1 wireless network module is soldered on the board. If necessary, you will need a soldering station or hairdryer to replace it. Of course, the kit includes a cable for an American standard outlet. This is not a problem, we have plenty of cables with a European plug. Some users advise setting the power supply plan to high performance mode. Otherwise, the built-in screen may flicker. Portal Notebookcheck.net I reported that the Alienware M17 R4 with the i7-10970H processor that got to them for the test had a flickering screen due to overheating of the processor. I did not find this. From the factory, the system was installed on a RAID 0 of 2 disks 2280, but I wanted to release them and install the system on an additional M2 2230 to be able to install larger disks. I disabled RAID in the BIOS, after which the system, naturally, stopped loading. It should be noted that the Alienware laptop does not see bootable flash drives with NTFS, only FAT32. I had a bootable USB flash drive with NTFS, from which all computers, including an Asus laptop, loaded perfectly. For Alienware, we had to create a bootable FAT32 flash drive. Perhaps this is a minor drawback, but it would be more convenient if Alienware supported any flash drives. Of course, after the beautiful UEFI BIOS from Asus, it's sad to look at the outdated UEFI interface from Dell. The only consolation is that you will not have to go to the BIOS often. I don't use the original Windows installer. To install the system, I use the WinSetup program. Before unpacking the image, I had to create a 100 MB UEFI boot partition at the beginning of the disk. The system was installed in 3 minutes. Alienware has an unusual approach to extending battery life. For example, Asus has an application MyAsus, which offers to keep the charge at 60% to extend the battery life, and keeps it. Alienware does not have any applications for monitoring the charge level. Instead, there is an option in the BIOS where you can specify the threshold values below which charging starts and above which charging stops. I chose the range 5080. In the next article I will show the test results.